Thank you, Angie. Now back to the race for the White House, where we seem to have an answer there as to who the victor is. Former President Donald Trump, former Neil Moore, securing the Electoral College votes needed to win re-election.
Kamala Harris trails behind with 244 electoral votes, a number we're continuing to keep a close eye on as we are waiting for more of those projections to come in. Leah McNeil is joining us now. She's been looking at the numbers all morning long as they're changing and telling a bigger story here.
Sure.
Yeah, I have my chicken scratch here. I've been taking notes all morning, but as of right now, we can say we are still waiting on the numbers from Alaska, Maine, and 3 swing states, Michigan, Nevada, and Arizona. The majority of those are Trump leaning. Now, even with those pending results, Trump is expected to maintain an edge over Kamala Harris. Now, if we do take a look at the electoral map, we do see a lot of red and blue when we get that up for you right there. But it really does tell a story. Kamala Harris was just not able to make gains in places that her campaign thought she would, like in Wisconsin, for example, the same state that actually secured the 2016 presidency for President Donald Trump. He won that by less than a percentage point back then. It's the same story this go around, with Trump getting 49.8% and Harris securing just under that 48.9%. That's a difference of just over 32,000 votes. Now, we also want to point out that if we look at the numbers as well, Trump not only has secured more than enough those electoral college votes at 277 now, but he also has won the popular vote, according to the Associated Press. That's the difference by 5 million people at this point in time, Bree.
Wow, quite the number there, Leah. Thanks so much. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise came out on top for the 9th time, securing his position. Scalise was expected to win his re-election to the 1st District and won by a pretty wide margin.
Yeah, now that he's headed back to Congress for 2 more years, our Alyssa Curtis joins us live now with more on this. Alyssa, as Majority Leader, Scalise says that he's focused more on just Louisiana here.
Yeah, absolutely, Brandon. And much of what he expressed last night at his event was just that, about how he believes the United States as a whole needs a lot of help right now. But he also believes that can be accomplished through helping his home state of Louisiana. Last night, Scalise won the vote with more than 65%, 65% of the vote. Again, he represents the 1st District, which includes Orleans, Jefferson, and Tangipahoa parishes, among many others. If Republicans win the House, he'll likely return as the House's second in command. He says he wants to focus on issues like inflation and securing the border. He says good ideas for Louisiana will in turn help the rest of the country.
Getting good energy policy is great for Louisiana, but it's really critical to lowering inflation, to lowering costs. One of the reasons you have so many high costs at the grocery store, at the gas station, on your utility bills, is because of bad energy policy. So if we get that right, it will not only create more jobs in Louisiana, it'll bring in more revenue, billions of dollars to restore Louisiana's coast, but it also lowers costs for families all over the country. You know, and I'm going to continue to fight for those kind of policies. We need to secure the border. It affects Louisiana. It affects every state.
Again, he is banking on Republicans winning the House once again. At last check, Republicans were still inching towards securing the House, but again, there's still about 50 races to call, so we're keeping a close eye on that, and we'll keep you updated all morning. Reporting live, Alyssa Curtis, WWL, Louisiana.
We're joined now by UNO political science professor Dr. Ed Chervenak, who is joining us to talk a little bit more about just where we stand right now. I know there's a lot of things we could discuss. I think one of the things is a lot of people were expecting the counting to be slower than it is right now. And what shifted with that?
Well, there were fewer mail ballots this time around, about 30 million fewer ballots, because in 2020 we were dealing with the pandemic and COVID, and so a lot of people relied on absentee ballots. But this time there was far fewer, plus they put in place processes and basically bought new machines and hired more people to count those ballots, because they didn't want to go through a multi-day count like they did 4 years ago.
Sure, and I know with that, as you know, a lot of people were questioning how long it could take. I think, like you said, getting these results a lot faster than last time around.
Yes.
Another part of that, of course, is the integrity of the election. That's been called in question the last go round, and so a lot of people were concerned about where this could go. Do you expect, seeing the margin here with this election, do you expect any of this to be taken to a lawsuit?
I kind of doubt it. I mean, Vice President Harris has basically said if she loses that she'll accept the results. And that's traditionally how we handle
Sure.
elections here in this country, right? The loser basically concedes, the winner then takes the oath and assumes office.
President Trump has run on a platform very focused on immigration as one of his main focal points. Do you see that being something he can make a drastic change in right out the gate, or where do we stand on that?
Well, there was a piece of legislation that the Senate had taken up that was basically shot down, and so they may bring that piece of legislation back up that would basically hire more border guards, hire more asylum judges so that they could deal with the situation at the southern border. And so, this is one of his major issues, so I suspect that this is one of the things he's going to be dealing with on day one.
In addition to that, of course, the economy, not just a big part of his platform, but also, as we've seen polls and voters talk, that is a huge focal point for this entire election. What's sort of the next thing that people should be paying attention to?
Well, obviously, tax policy, where does the president-elect, want to cut taxes? Where does he want to focus spending? What's the role of the Federal Reserve in monitoring interest rates? That's important in terms of dealing with inflation. I mean, inflation has come down, no doubt, as a result of what the Fed's actions. But people are still feeling a pinch. And it was a big concern. People just feel the lack of purchasing power over the last 4 years. And so Donald Trump was very successful in the question of, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? And overwhelmingly, people said no.
And really quickly, speaking of, where his tax plan is, I know that one of the things he has talked about is a tariff on those imported taxes. But, when we look at it, it seems that Americans could end up paying a little bit more because of that. I think when people hear tariffs on imported goods, they think other countries will be taxed. But in fact, it could be Americans who carry that burden.
Any increase to suppliers, any increase in cost of suppliers is going to be passed on to consumers. So if he does impose these big tariffs, anywhere from 60% to 100%, that consumers will be paying that. The foreign countries are not paying that. So it basically becomes a national tax.
All right, something to consider, but we really appreciate your time. Great
Thanks
insight
for having
here.
me.
Thank you so much. And of course, we talked about the Federal Reserve. Don't forget, they are expected to make that second cut for this year.